Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here again with a very exciting Dead by Daylight League set with Cynic versus Elysium. Now, specTral, how do you think that's gonna go?
Honestly, Cynic versus Elysium is a really big deal, question that we have seen multiple times. I think Cynic has a lot to prove here because I do know for a fact a lot of people do doubt Cynic's ability to be able to beat a team like Elysium. And as we are watching that, Ultra is going to be the first chase and the first down of the game extremely early, Jojo. This is not looking good for Cynic here just at the start. But of course, it is a nurse set that we're looking at here first on Cold Tower of all maps, you know. The golden standard for comp, the golden standard for nurse. This is definitely not going to be an easy game for Cynic whatsoever.
No, but that's the beauty in it, isn't it? The strife they endure in these matches. Looks like they are splitting gen pressure pretty well, with Nurse just seems to be proxying, seeing if she can find anyone on generators. Does not seem like it is being particularly fruitful at the moment, but that second hook stage will do a lot for Xeno here.
Yeah, especially since we're not actually going to be seeing any early saves from any of the survivors so far. But in this moment right now, Pop is going to be a very big decider. I mean, we're looking at Ruin as well, so we're going to have to take out that totem if he's going to want to have some big regression here off of the kicks. However, I don't know if it's going to be too much trouble from his part because right now Xeno's actually going to be looking at Nini coming in for the save. Nini's actually going to get blocked pretty well by Xeno, but unfortunately Nini is going to actually make it through one way or another. Whether he's actually going to get it before second stage is a complete question, but Ultra is actually going to be free. Now with one stage remaining, he is going to be tunneled out. He does have DS, which is actually a very smart play because this is actually very good for Cynic. The forcing locker here is even going to be better for him. Now they're actually going to be wasting as much time as possible by trying to avoid just getting tapped off the hook. But unfortunately, no much distance is made away from that, and he purposefully misses it. Wait, did he miss it off of complete? Wait, I'm so confused whether he just simply held it or if he missed it on purpose. But if he did,
looked like holding it on purpose, but I could be wrong.
Oh no, this is actually going to be a really big decider. I mean, we'll never know because, you know, skill checks are horrendously bugged for the spectator view.
Yeah. Finding Nancy here, going for the Link M1. What? Let's see. That undetectable is pretty filthy on Nurse, especially. Going in for the unhook, so is the Nurse. Yeah, Ultra does still have Decisive Strike. This could be a deciding factor in this chase here.
Well, he's going to need a way longer chase right now, and we both know that because right now, Ultra's actually not going to be having long enough of a chase to actually get his teams much gen pressure. I mean, he's about to die at 3 gens, for God's sake. If it wasn't for this DS, this chase would be just instantly over, and I'd say this game would be a 4K too, but he ends up hitting it perfectly. Now, Ultra free and running is going to be moving in towards a tile, trying to break as much LOS as possible, but that's going to be the first blink, second blink coming through directly on top of Ultra, and that is not going to be a long enough chase, but he does die on pallet. Xeno not scared at all for knowing that no one is going to be nearby to be pulling off that save. No one is ballsy enough to be getting off something like that. But now Julian and Angel's going to be resetting right next to the hill. Nini moving off to the corner of the map, of course, to reset themselves with the medkit. And in this moment, Xeno is looking at a very powerful start for Elysium.
Most certainly is, with the Thanatophobia has been doing quite a lot this game already, but with one dead, especially with Pop, it's just well, things are not looking ideal for the survivors here at this moment, but they can always still turn things around. Just gonna see about finding some survivors at this point in time, not a whole lot else to do. We saw a crow get disturbed.
Someone close by, and with that person being close by, that's going to be Julian. Julian taking a very fast tag here is actually going to be moving in towards the edge of the map. Absolutely nothing to work with to break line of sight, only needing to try and waste as much time as possible, but unfortunately Xeno's not going to fret losing sight of Julian just once. He gets a very good blink off and is going to grab it on the second, but now moving in towards main, leaving Julian on the floor, you know, of course, trying to get those Thanatophobia stacks up, because after all, the only value out of this perk is playing hit and run, and picking up Julian and hooking him on the hook is not going to get you much progress. But But of course, he's also trying to interrupt the other gens, getting a very easy win condition for his team would be definitely very beneficial, because one good chase here, Jojo, could get an instant 3 gens out of the way, and we've seen Elysium do it before. Now, whether they're going to be able to replicate it and do it again, complete question. It's something that we have been wondering for quite a while, but it's still a possibility. And now going back over for the save, Angels is actually going to be showing up. Julian going straight back down onto the floor. Angels going to be pre-dropping this pallet to try and maximize the distance, but it seems like he's going to be looping the Nurse around a pallet tile. Angels taking another tag, potentially could be a slug play here. 1 blink, 2 blinks up, but does not end up getting through those walls and is going to get swallowed, meaning that Angels is going to get a lot more distance here. Nini on a gen off in the distance, and I don't know if this is going to be a down just yet, but it is going to be fairly close. A lot of misplays here from Cynic, but they are trying to play their best. Nini being the last person standing, they are not in a good spot right now, Jojo.
They most certainly are not, with 2 down and Nini on the other side of the map at the moment. It doesn't look like Julian has been able to crawl anywhere meaningful in the meantime either. So I suppose Zeno is just going to continue looking for Nini, because that will definitely secure the most difficult win condition for Zeno that they can acquire at the moment. But not really finding anyone yet. Although I suppose it would be hard to find the last person.
I mean, thinking about it, because the last person is, I mean, has to stealth. They have to be the most unfindable person at this moment, because they need to find an opportunity to stealth over and pick up these survivors. After all, they are the last hope for Cynic at this moment. I do want to say that this is probably most likely going to be a 4K3, quite literally no matter what, but Nini is trying to see if maybe they can scrounge out just 1 more gen, maybe a 4K2, because 4K3 is definitely possible. Will be difficult, but it is a possible result. After all, you could get some insane snowball potential, you could get some insane gen stoppage. Anything could happen here. And actually, we're seeing as Nini is fresh hook, has Telly, but it is not activated, which seems like this is actually going to be a bit of a misplay from the rest of the team. Julian going down very fast now, moving over towards Angels to see how long Angels can last, but it seems like Zeno might just focus directly on top of Nini. Wait, but no. Personally, I would go after Nini here. Nini is the only healthy survivor, meaning that if they are injured, it would be finding them. That would be a lot easier. Now, whether Zeno has something else in plan is something completely unknown, but chasing Angels around a TNL wall as Julian DCs for some reason, whether he gave up completely or not, that is going to be the down on Angels, and the Nini is officially the last person standing entirely. I am completely oblivious to what just happened, but I'm curious to know.
Well, here's hoping it was an internet problem or something and not intentional, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have to refer to what happened to our match official that was in their VC, seeing what is happening, but it seems like he did end up crashing. I'm uncertain whether that is going to mean anything or not. It just does mean that it probably wasn't an intentional DC, so good on him. But unfortunately for Cynic, that is not good at all if they want to try and get just 1 more gen out here. I mean, Nini can't work a gen by himself, and neither can he just move over to pick up Angels off the hook, because that's going to reveal him heavily. And especially in the situation that Julian was up, this is definitely a spot for Zeno to commit to Nini.
If Zeno can find them, of course, because Nini sure is, well, I mean, you know, what else do you do in this circumstance, right? But Nini is being very immersed. I don't know if Zeno's going to have too much luck finding them.
Yeah. Question. Angels does end up hitting the second state here. We do see Zeno off in the distance over at the top middle of the map. Now, unknown to us whether he is actually going to find Nini here, because Nini is just going to stay around this corner and maybe waiting for that 1 shot, but Angels does have a lot of time on his hook, and Zeno has more time to reposition on top of the hatch than Nini does, because Nini is not in any situation to do so. However, he is stealthing some good around the bottom of the map, so he could potentially make it over, and it is going to be the same hatch standoff that we have seen over and over again, which will be difficult for our survivor. Super dependent on who tries to win this here. Nini is going to be moving in closer towards the hatch in this current moment, but it seems like even with this going up, for some reason they aren't closing in. Oh my god. Jojo, what am I watching? If Nini moved in so much earlier, or even stealthed just even closer to Shaq, they would have realized that Xeno was nowhere close by, but now gonna be showing themselves not being able to interrupt it. Nini is going to make it through safely in a big play for Cynic as they get an entire fresh out at 3 gens remaining, meaning that the win condition won't just be 4K3 hopefully, it will be something more along the lines of 4K2 as a tie. Oh, no, I don't even know at this point. The points are really going to be a big decider here, but that's just a very, very huge matchup for Cynic. Jojo, what are your thoughts on that weird but amazing play by Nini?
Yeah, it was indeed very strange, but I just want to know what was going through Nini's head, you know? Like, what prompted such actions?
I mean, we're definitely going to have to see how they're going to be able to respond to this, but we'll actually be back to you with a bit of a fix in the score where you're deciding amongst ourselves what we're going to do about this Julian situation, and of course the ultimate win condition provided to us by the points given to us by Nini's fresh out. But with that being said, we will see you all after our intermission and these hopefully short messages. Hello and welcome everyone, ladies and gentlemen. This is the DBDLeague. I'm your caster specTral, joined here by the one and only Jojo, who will be co-casting alongside me today, as we are actually going to be watching Angels for the side of Cynic on Nurse, grabbing an insane tag on some Marcos for the start of the match. But the Elysium roster is going to be Christian, who I'm pretty sure is Kexo, Xeno, Pedro, and Marcos. Very good stun there from Marcos, getting a lot of time wasted. But big question brought to me just now, or should I say the question that I'd like to ask, why are we seeing Angels on Nurse instead of Julian? That is actually going to be a very big question. Now, I do know Julian has played Nurse in the past on some other teams, and he has been known to be a very, very good and a very well-talented Nurse. Now, him not playing here is honestly a really maybe a decision by Angels, that Angels wanted to play Nurse, or maybe he just hasn't played Nurse in a while, and you know, it's a big question. But a lot is to beg here.
My personal guess is that Angels has just been practicing, and maybe Julian's out of practice with Nurse specifically. Who knows? Let's see some talent we've never seen before, huh? Let's see some of this Angels Nurse.
I mean, we cannot disrespect Angels as a player.
Of course.
We do know all the things that Angels has done. Even in the era of Cynic, where Ultra was unable to play, you know, because of his vacation or whatever, gotta put the real life over the DBD after all, because he can't always be relying on these things. Seeing a pre-drop here coming through from a survivor, but committed to Marcos, a lot of overpoints here, man.
Sure looks like it. Running to Shaq with the corrupt intervention has now been over for a bit, but they do not. I wonder how their gen pressure is looking at the moment. That's my main thought here. That could decide how well this chase goes, just how much pressure they're applying. Getting the tag onto Xeno though, very clean, very fast. Going back towards Shaq, the Hex Ruin is on that hill. There's no way multiple survivors don't know where it is. And that is a down onto Xeno.
And they're going to be able to call that out. First into the game going to be popping off right now, and I assume a second one is on the way. Pedro is progressing one at 50%, but it is not, or should I say, long enough to actually be able to pop it. Now, whether Xeno hook is far enough away to the point where Angels is unable to make it over there in time, or he's going to probably get sidetracked, as we can see him running over to where Kexo potentially is. I'm still unaware of what the exact win condition here is but we will see within time as the points do come along and as the hooks do come our way, especially these gens, because I mean, if they do reach and end up popping 4 gens, it doesn't matter how many people escaped in the previous trial. They are going to take this win no matter what, just with the points alone. But in this moment now, we're actually going to be moving over to where Kexo is. Kexo going to be over here at the corner of the map, taking an incredibly fast tag, but Angels is going to leave it, taking that hit and run and using the Thanatophobia to his advantage to quickly make his way back over towards Zeno's hook, taking that tag onto Marcos. 3 stacks of Thanatophobia going through, going to be chasing Zeno, and of course trying to tunnel him out, but that is not going to be any survivor of any type of anti-tunnel. And in this moment, we're actually also looking at them running into basement with no deli as they were the first hook of the game. That is going to be incredibly unfortunate, but Zeno is going to be wasting a lot of time hopping inside the locker, now going to be moving in towards the other locker, using the basement to their advantage to waste as much time as possible, swinging at the locker, checking the wrong one. What is Angels doing? Oh my lord.
I have no earthly idea what that was, but alright.
Oh my.
Yeah, unfortunately, being the only one hooked, Zeno does have deliverance, but it is not active at the moment. It's very sad. Angels clearly demonstrating that they are nothing to be scoffed at on Nurse.
Oh yeah? Oh god. I wouldn't say that he's doing exactly the worst.
Got the down on Zeno in the basement again.
Yeah, he's getting...
Was that unbreakable?
Yeah, it was unbreakable, definitely. Because, I mean, remember, this guy's delivering, so we can only assume it is unbreakable. And I will be honest, I did not pay attention to if they did have unbreakable, but I don't remember seeing any survivor down there.
Zeno has unbreakable. I was just wondering if they used it.
It was. 100%.
And it looks like they did.
100%. Now, Marcos moving in closer towards this generator right now, pressuring it. Angels is going to be nearby, meaning that they are going to have that opportunity to blink over there to them, but they are going to use it instead to move over back towards the hook to see if they can maybe get the tunnel out onto Zeno. That would definitely make this workload a lot easier. But it seems like no chasing. Marcos instead is going to be a smart decision, swinging at the window for some reason, as Pedro's actually going to be working on the final gen that will bring this game to potentially a close or make the difference extremely minimal. But Angels does end up interrupting it just in time, as Pedro's actually going to be leaving ahead of time, seemingly going to be using balance back behind main. And now, actually over towards the edge map, first blink going to be going through 24 meters right there, 12 meters to get a lot closer, ends up starting the chase on top of Pedro. No chase music, however, because, you know, spectator bugs are still our best friend here at the DBDL, always making these games a pleasure to watch. But now, Pedro going to be directly on top. A very good tag there, as Angels is actually going to be grabbing the first tag onto the survivor that is working and cranking all of these generators, blinking into main, but not going to be behind it, which is going to be unfortunate for Angels, losing a lot of distance here, as Pedro's actually going to be in the corner of the map. A lot of uses here, tries to double back, but that's going to be the down onto from Angels on it to Pedro. Very well played by Cynic at this current moment, but I don't know if that is going to be anything for them just yet, because remember, Ruin is still up, and they are leaving it up on purpose to deny him any value from any other perk that he may be running, which is very, very, very sad for Angels. But Angels is going to be looking at that very dead pop, thinking that this is really just a matter of, you know, biting nails, man.
Yeah, definitely, with, I believe, only... Oh, well, that is a down onto Marcos before I could even get my thought out. That is second wind coming out on Pedro, and almost a flash save, but just barely not getting it, unfortunately. That will be Marcos' first hook stage, and immediately going on to Renato as well, looks like. Oh, never mind.
And it seems like he commits.
Alright, and that will be Renato having to kind of run through this dead zone, looks like. But it looks like, thankfully, Angels is just going back to the hook, going to see about likely getting a tunnel out. The pallet drop coming out did not seem to do too horribly much, but looks like Zeno is... Oh, good whiff. Good dodge, rather. Looks like Zeno might be at the end of their rope here. But
no, instead, Angels is adding more rope to Zeno's last straw, because he just completely leaves him. and tries to look for that tag onto Pedro. Now, Jojo, he does have near 4 stacks of the Nataphobia here. It seems like they are going to be trying to reset. The ultimate 1v1 are now going to be taking a tag after vaulting very close by. Small, difficult situation for Elysium. However, they do have an incredible start to get themselves out of it. So although you could say it is a bad situation, it is very, very easy to come out of this. Simply just one good chase, somebody goes over to the gen, they pop it, blah, 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 game's over. But they aren't going to commit to Pedro, Jojo. Instead, they're actually looking for this reset.
And here's hoping they get it, right? With only one more gen remaining, looks like Angels will be going on to Christian or not, whiffing and then leaving to go check other gen, and that's the last gen completed. Exit gates are now powered, and I believe that was Adrenaline on Marcos. I could be wrong. Chasing Pedro toward the gate now. Let's see how things pan out.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know if Angel's gonna be able to get the 4K here exactly. Think about it. This guy is a very, very, very well-talented player. But no, honestly, Zeno going down here is probably just going to be a 1K. And even maybe with Pedro going down, that is going to be an actual 2K. I mean, remember, oh, he's humping him on the floor. Oh, I love the banter between these two. We did see Pedro there earlier teabagging him. You know, there's a little bit of friendly, competitive banter. And, of course, Angels has to bring it back in the best way he can. You can't just hit him on hook. That's kind of mean. I feel like, oh, but Zeno can be hit on hook. Okay, I would say, yeah, you're right. I would say.
Yeah, it's certainly a spectacle of a match we have witnessed here today. Just really stellar play from both sides. Definitely looks like a 2K. I doubt they're going to go for the rescue at all. And they will likely just leave.
Competitive DBD. Very professional, right?
Very.
Good lord. Well, interesting match here for Cynic today, ladies and gentlemen, as we do see the 2K 7 stages, which is a good, I want to say a good result, you know, versus a team like Elysium. That is not going to be enough to beat their result, and that is not going to be enough for DBDL. You know, you played your best, but like I said, not enough. But now, as we're going to be moving into the second set here, which I'm curious as to what the second set is going to be, as it seems like it is going to be a Cenobite on, I feel like it's Dead Dog Saloon, right? That is actually going to be a super exciting match to watch. What are your thoughts on it, Jojo?
Well, I am always excited to watch DBDL Pinhead gameplay. It is just a delight. It is a delight to watch a good Pinhead at work, in my opinion. So I'm very excited to see that next set. So don't go anywhere, folks. We will be right back. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with set 2 of Cynic versus Elysium, with Pinhead on Dead Dog Saloon, Ultra being on Pinhead. specTral, how do you think this is going to go now that Ultra's already found the box?
This is going to be nothing but shambles for the enemy team. If we do know one thing about EU does... I don't want to throw shade out, but I do know EU do become crybabies when NAW does come to the scene. I mean, after all, the ping hits are actually, I shouldn't call them crybabies, because the ping hits are something that is completely nasty and unfair if you ask me. There's so many things that you cannot make, especially from this huge cross ping difference up to 200 ping. But exit lag is a thing, and I'm fairly certain it can lessen the load for our survivors here. So now looking at Ultra on Killer, which actually could be a very good result for Cynic, maybe helping them maybe grab a potential win versus Elysium. Elysium is a very difficult team to beat, but I don't believe it's impossible. Here we're going to be seeing Kexo driving to the bottom of main. Surprised that they didn't get that, but now looking towards the front pallet of main, which could be a very fast tag here. Good pre-drop there, wasting a lot of time, but unfortunately that is not going to be enough for Ultra to not be able to grab that tag even with that slow vault. So big plays here by Ultra, especially since this chain up, dude, it's stopping them from progressing almost like any gen. This is very good for Ultra right now with almost no gen pressure and only needing to stop another survivors, looking for a tag on to Xeno first, which is going to be applied very, very shortly. Big tag there, moving in towards Shaq. A very decent start and a good exchange for him. If you look at that, Cynic's not in a super bad spot right now, Jojo.
Yes, indeed, they are not. However, that is impaling wire original pain, which is quite the pain in the rear to deal with as a survivor. Just constantly having chains shot at you over and over again after breaking them. Taking them to town near the back here. Looks like Xeno has gotten a good read on this, dropping the pallet early because, I don't know, you know, you're against a pinhead, might as well. Running toward main, doesn't look like there's a whole lot here, might just be going to a corner.
Honestly, this is a very smart play. He does get a lot of time here for his team by trying to go to the corner of the map, but he's also trying to extend this chase for as long as possible. Even with, well, I mean, yeah, because Dead Dog Saloon is one of those maps where corner tiles are so close towards the edge map, meaning that you can loop and still technically die very far away from the gens, which is a very smart play. Unlike maps like Cold Tower, you're never ever going to see a gen right next to that pallet that's, you know, died at. But however, on Cold Tower, if you go to like a God Filler in the corner of the map, there's still a chance for a gen to be directly on top of that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Just keeping tabs on the generators nearby the hook. Doesn't look like any of them are being worked on in any capacity. That one over on the street is being finished, and main is being worked on. Shooting a chain up there. Just not a lot happening at the moment other than generators while they are camping out this first hook stage. Still landing these chains, and that does waste plenty of time for the survivors.
Now, something that I do want to know is actually what result is Ultra trying to go here for? Because looking at his build here, we do know, remember ladies and gentlemen, we do not let this players change their builds unless something it happens to miss, like a bug, you know, filter reveal. You kind of want to keep them a secret from the enemy team, but you cannot change them so people can't, you know, try to bring in last second crutch things. They have to try and plan ahead, and they have to be able to know exactly what they want to do before they actually get into said match. Now, looking at Ultra's build here, it is a very strong build, very powerful build. Looking for, you know, Penis to get the huge progression on the generator. Looking for a tag on it too. Pedro, but now coming through, Kexo is going to grab that save onto Xeno, committing to Xeno here, trying to look for that tag. Ends up getting the original pain, going to be going through. Mending status effects going to be officially applied, meaning that their guard time is going to be completely gone, but it won't matter, as Xeno is going to be free and get a lot of distance because of Kexo's hit there, which is very good for Cynic. But now, following seemingly the other survivor, wait, it doesn't look like he's committing to anyone just yet. Unless he's going after Kexo or if he's trying to catch up on top of Xeno. And it seems like getting on top of Xeno is definitely a plan that is going to be in, but that is actually front of main currently being used. Is this a head-on? He's inside of the locker. Oh god, this is not gonna look good. Wait.
There it is.
And the head-on comes through. And the firecracker too! Oh my god, what the hell am I watching? Such an amazing play and a well amount of coordination from Elysium is going to extend this down so much longer. Christian, you know, just getting rid of their mending status effect by getting rid of the deforms. Now, Pedro committed to here, not enough. No, actually no impaling wire coming through as they did break all the chains individually. Very good play there from Pedro, also dodging that chain. Dude, this is not looking good for Ultra here. Definitely did end up maybe potentially overestimating him, but dang, man. I did not expect this to happen.
Yeah, I did not expect Xeno getting out of that, but finding Marcos here, that is an inconvenient hex spot, but
yeah.
Getting the M1 onto Marcos. Marcos seems to be running Ultra to Shack here. Let's see if anything can come of it. Getting that original pain deep wound in with the box being completed in what looks like a corner.
Good lord. I'm not gonna lie. Right now, Ultra is just going to have to try and scramble for the stages because he's in a situation where he does try to need to get as many points as possible for his team. After all, they are taking out his passive regression, meaning that if he's going to want to have any more regression in this game, he's going to have to rely on the 3 stacks of pain res left. Wait, does he even make this? He's going to have to go for the first look here.
No.
And he does end up making it here. I feel like just by almost a little bit, Marcos would have ended up wiggling out there. I don't know. Lost a lot of time there. But he is going to have a very beneficial hook. It's crucial to get a hook like that because you can try to interrupt using an informational chain to see where the survivors are. Xeno's going to be very close by, seemingly going for the save, but is going to be running out of the he is death hook, so he's not going to be the survivor that does need to commit to try to get that save there. First tag coming through onto Xeno, dropping it there, vaulting it over, wasting a bit of time for his team, but it seems like this is going to be the death of Xeno, as unfortunately it is not going to lead into any loot tiles or pallets, which is going to be super unfortunate for Elysium.
Yeah. Looks like they're just resetting in Shack with Renato working on a gen. Ultra is currently in a position in which I feel like they could definitely win right here, right now, but they could also, the survivors could also get gens done. Finding Christian on this loop, it's the M2, but not much comes of it. Now just having to play up, well, gets hit by the M2. Running up to top floor of main, doesn't look like Ultra has broken the wall yet. Oh no, they have. I'm just blind. Box is being solved by Marcos. Nobody's on that gen. The box has been solved.
Honestly, I'm surprised we have not seen Ultra pick up any more boxes here besides the one from the beginning of the match.
Yeah.
It would be very useful for him. He'd know where the survivors are, would start chain hunt. Maybe he just doesn't have the necessary information. But no, wait, the game sense from Ultra is actually going to find Pedro in the corner of the map, hopping out of the locker to, of course, try to avoid him just instantly getting picked up and found and destroyed. Now, pre-dropping this pallet is in a fairly good situation to try and play off of these 50-50s, but is instead actually going to be looping around it entirely. Now, unfortunately for Pedro and Ultra, this isn't actually going to be a down just yet. 150-50 win over here would be very, very huge, but it seems like instead of going for the 50-50, we're going to be going over for the 100-100, and instead not actually going to be dropping that pallet there. He's going to be swinging through it, grabbing that down onto Pedro. Such a big play here from the start, as it's actually going to make the game a bit of a 2v1. Not yet, has he still is actually going to be there. An amazing save from Kexo. Vaulting over. Pedro's going to get a lot of distance on top of this just now, but now probably going to be getting up a chain here to see if they can maybe grab more distance on top of the survivors. Remember, that's the only point they're going to be playing this killer. And unfortunately missing that chain as Pedro is going to make his distance over towards main. Marcos on a gen right now, only as we can assume. Trying to get this on to Pedro, maybe looking for the break on to the door right there in the poker room, but focusing his sights onto Marcos, who is going to be working again. That is very highly progressed, not going to be committing and getting a lot of distance to top of them. This is going to be another tag, a tag not on it to them just yet, so they're not going to be making it over towards any loops that are beneficial for the team until they get the distance off the hit. Unfortunately, missing that chain there, Ultra's not going to be committing to this and is instead going to be resetting his focuses to the gen and potentially looking for the reset on to Pedro, which is a very smart decision. But still, Cynic is slowing down once again.
Going with the gateway to find Marcos in the back corner, healing there. Going for the chase here. All that's here is a dropped pallet, I believe, but that doesn't make this chase any less potentially long. Hitting the fast vault. Let's see if Marcos tries to break off into town. Looks like they are. Ultra is landing a lot of these M2s this game. Marcos going down at the pallet. Things are not currently looking good for these survivors this match.
And now, honestly, I think the ultimate decider here is definitely a very big chase from either side right now. As if this is an incredibly fast chase onto Kexo, this is definitely going to be a 4K at 2 gens. But if it's an even longer chase from Kexo, I think this is going to be enough for Elysium to be able to pop maybe a gen and maybe even move in towards the last gen maybe even get an out here. Outs is definitely possible, and as we are seeing this, Kexo is getting an incredibly long chase here, ladies and gentlemen. He does end up making it over towards this loop safely. He's going to end up taking a tag, but there's not any reason to be committing to this as he is injured and in definitely a better spot to use these windows. Super strong loop versus a Cenobite after all. Huge killer in the middle that you can use to break your chains and of course use to move into either one of the windows, which is a very, very smart play from both sides. But Ultra, finally, Jojo, finding the box besides from the beginning of the game, is going to start chain hunt on top of the survivors and find the 2 necessary survivors to commit to.
Indeed, Ultra is, and that generator is looking mighty progressed, but I suppose that Ultra does not feel the need to kick it at this moment because hook stages are more important. Going for Marcos once again, who has proven themselves to be able to run Ultra's pinhead, but not committing. Going back to kick the generator. And I wonder how soon the survivors will get the box. That's my question here. I feel like that determines a lot of things in how this match is currently about to go.
What just happened? Did his chain like face? Did you see that? Like face through the pole or something?
Yes, it was weird.
Well, he dies in the corner of the map, and thanks to Impaling Wire, he had to deal with over 100 billion chains. Because good lord, I hate that add-on. I know a lot of people get extremely mad when that add-on does end up working against you. I mean, after all, imagine trying to have a chase. There's like so many chains just like stopping you over and over. You break one chain, you break another, another 2 spawn because of Impaling Wire. Like, good lord, it's so annoying.
Indeed, it is quite the annoying add-on. With Christian getting hooked, it is just Pedro and Marcos, and 1 generator left. Breaking wagon pallet, and then presumably going back to hook, looks like. The whole team.
Yeah, they're both moving in here. This is honestly a smart decision from either side. They aren't getting much gen progress off of it, but they are going to have the potential to save on either side. As we're actually going to be looking at Pedro kicks. Pedro with Medal of Man. Interesting decision here. As we're going to be seeing a perk that I have not seen in comp too much. After all, it doesn't get too much value. I do know people like to run it on sets that you do have to take a lot of hits and that you're allowed to reset very easily. Those sets kind of don't exist anymore, you know, with how the game has changed and how rule sets have definitely changed against killers like M1s where you would actually want to be taking hits consistently. Not many heal perks are allowed, and not many healing items are allowed to try and, you know, help out these survivors to quickly get these resets off. I could see it getting value this game, but I haven't seen it do much yet, as Pedro has not been taking hits for any of the survivors. Looks like that we did end up seeing an AFK Crow going off there onto Marcos, not going to be committing towards Christian right now, who I still believe is actually Kexo, going to be hit with an amazing chain, breaks it in the most unfortunate moment. Honestly, should have waited there and just stayed on the pallet to see if they can maybe drop it, but that is going to be the 2-man down. Pedro going to be last one standing, working on the gen in the corner of the map. Could be a very big snowball here, as this could be a 4K1 necessary for Cynic to try and grab this win. I mean, popping 5 gens against the Cenobite is not a difficult result at all, so finding Pedro here would definitely be an extremely huge result for Cynic. But that is completely up to Ultra, whether he's going to have the necessary game sense to know where he is hiding exactly, or maybe even the necessary luck. Well, this is not, well, I was about to say, going to be very beneficial for Ultra. But remember, it's just 1 survivor standing. Chain Hunt does not activate on the last person standing, so this is going to be difficult for Ultra to be able to find them out, as he can safely work this gen. No terror radius, no fear from either side, as Christian is going to be finally hooked, and that is going to be the 2nd death of the game, with Marcos on the floor and Pedro on a gen. But a very, very good start for Cynic in this Cenobite set nonetheless.
It most certainly is. With Ultra coming over to this corner, it very well might be curtains for the survivors here soon. Kicking the generator, that is actually blocked from regressing anymore.
No. You do have, like, I think, like, 2, 3 more kicks on a generator like that. Pedro found in a locker. Now going to be going out completely lost sight of them as they did end up going behind Ultra. So Ultra did end up losing in there just for a second, but Pedro is going to be taking a tag here, staying around this pallet, tagging around it. Unfortunately, now going to be going in for the slow ball, but it's not going to have enough chains on top of it, and then he double balls it with the slow ball. That's such a weird play, but well played by Elysium. Nonetheless, a 4K1 result for Cynic. Very, very good result. And Ultra showing his power on the killer here is going to grab a very good result for his team. As I'd say, 5 gens against the Cenobite is not difficult at all. Now, it is Elysium Cenobite we are talking about. I have not seen them play Elysium, or what? I have not seen them play Cenobite. Now, I do think they can still and are actually fairly well skilled in it. It's not like it's an unknown set to comp whatsoever, you know? It's not like some random trapper that we're going to be seeing in a DBDL season once. It'd be really funny if we do actually have a trapper set somewhere in the near future. I mean, kind of boring, but maybe some players that do end up picking potentially trapper will give us some interesting gameplay to look at. Maybe some nasty traps. After all, we do love seeing a big web of things with any killer, like other killers, for example, Singularity, Unknown, things like that. Such a powerful stage for the game. But now we're just looking around for Marcos. I mean, not much to pass here. I do want to review, however, the game that we just saw. That really quick, or could have been an incredibly quick tunnel out onto Zeno. It wasn't quick. They had a lot of coordination there, and they were able to extend his down for so long, but it was not enough for them to pop all 5 gens and to try and get an out here, man.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that these survivors did really well this game, but Ultra was just on top of, well, everything, but especially their own positioning in relation to what are the survivors doing, the objectives they're doing, if they're healing, if they're unhooking, if they're doing generators. Ultra was just on top of all of it.
With that being said, that was an incredibly good match for Cynic, as now we're going to be moving on to the Elysium killer. I'm actually excited to see who it's going to be. It's probably just going to be Zeno, as it always is. I mean, the guy plays almost every killer in the game for his team, and he's very, very, very good at them. But that's it here for the first game of the second set. We will see you in the second match with Elysium on the killer and Cynic on the survivors after our intermission and these hopefully short messages. Hello, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And honestly, I wish you would see the very beginning of this game, because honestly, it looked really funny. Cenobite holding his hand up like all the way, seemingly praying to some god, probably to the Leviathan, to see if he can maybe get a 4K at 5 gens. But now starting off the chase on it, the Angel Cynic. I'm your caster, specTral, joined by Jojo, who will be taking out alongside me with co-casting this match, which would definitely be an extremely entertaining match to watch, as Angels is going to be moving in towards Shaq for our first chase of the game.
And that is Shaq pallet already down and the box already solved. Quite the active match going on here, with a chase going onto Lusty already. Running to Wagon pallet before Lusty got down. That's what I was going to say.
I would like to mention, I don't know whether he was joking or not, but Lusty did say in the pre-game chat that he was potentially under the influence of psychedelics. I don't know what's going on with Lusty, but that definitely maybe showed there a little bit. I mean, he just ran into the killer. He really see him over the wagon, and whatever, I guess. Well played by Zeno, grabbing his first down of the game here at 5 gens, which is a very good start for him indeed. Ends up kicking it and does find Ninny here over at a fairly decent 4-lane tile, but it does not lead into much, and it will not be a good chase to commit to for Zeno, because Zeno is actually going to be looking at a very, very, very good snipe there on to Ultra. Does not end up connecting to it and, actually hitting him, because it does end up getting short, but he does know where 2 survivors are in this current moment, and right now he could just safely camp around Lusty and stay around here and not let anybody go in for the save. So, very, very good start for Elysium.
Yes, indeed. It is a very good start for Elysium here, with a second hook stage already here in the basement, and pressure being applied to this gen constantly with their M2. Xeno is certainly doing well for themselves at this moment in time. Not really finding anyone, but also Xeno doesn't really need to find anyone right now, because Lusty's hanging in the basement. Hmm. So, yeah, there's Angels getting the box. I wonder if... Do you think that Xeno will try to go for the box anytime soon?
I don't know if it's honestly going to be necessary. I mean, remember, we cannot have Xeno potentially looking around for the box and maybe even committing to the chase, because right now he's actually going to have that down on it to Lusty, but ends up teleporting over onto Angels, maybe expecting no survivor to be going over there just yet, but he quickly disassociates what happened to Angels. I mean, he just kind of teleported over there, but Lusty is going to die at 3 gens remaining, which is not the same pace that Xeno died at, as Xeno did die at 2 gens remaining, meaning that they're going to have to pop 3 more gens here very quickly to 1, grab the set win against Elysium, and 2, actually have a spot or a fighting chance here in the tiebreaker, because the tiebreaker set's going to be very interesting. Now, while I check that out and go see exactly what the tiebreaker set is going to be, we are going to be chasing a survivor here, and it seems like this could potentially be Nini. We do know Nini was over here next to the water tower, but moving over towards the corner of the map, that is going to be the chase on to them. Very, very weird 50-50 palette for them to work with, but unfortunately they're not going to have enough distance to be making it over directly on top of it to see if they can maybe drop it. Nini going to be chased, probably going around. Wait, a big spin there was definitely the one thing that Nini shouldn't have done, is Nini is actually going to die here no matter what, and the pickup off the window is going to be a quick down onto Nini. The next fresh look of the game, meaning that maybe potentially another Painter's here could come out. I mean, if he even does have Painter's, there's a lot of progress here on top of main, and that is Painter's on top of the main gen, which unfortunately for Ultra is not going to be a pop for them. They are reaching the win or the tie condition here shortly if they do end up popping 2 more gens, but I feel like just grabbing the win to make it a 1-1 would be very, very good for Cynic. They can quickly make it a 2-1, but that would still be very difficult indeed. Now, actually moving over towards Angels, where we do know Angels is on that gen over there next to the water tower, just trying to grab sights of Ultra and, of course, keep him away from the hook.
I do have to say, I am a fan of the rapid brutality forced hesitation. I don't know if I've seen that anytime recently. It's quite interesting to see in such an environment. The survivors getting that gen done on the street, finding a Quentin here on Gallows.
And Nini's about to go to second state. They do end up popping that 3rd gen, which is good. They have reached a pace where only 1 more gen is required. However, as time passes more and more, this is getting more and more difficult. However, Jojo, the gens are spread very, 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 very far apart. I do feel like close enough for a Cenobite to be able to pressure it, but there's a decent amount of progress that can go through from here. That is pretty difficult. Very good stealthing here from Angels. Is going to grab the save on it to Nini completely against what originally had no tag coming through just yet. He's going to be taking every single chain, going to be vaulting that right now, committing towards Xeno, who did end up taking the main window front and center. Now looking for a very smart tag there on 2 Angels, but unfortunately is going to be end up missing that chain. Maybe a 50-50 going to be forced and provided here. Very good usage there by Angels, trying to use the walls to his advantage to break every single chain, and he does end up using it just perfectly, but no, instead of going for the valley, he tries to go for the window and is going to go down. Unfortunate for Cynic, as that chase could have been extremely good, but as we are saying that, he is going to be over on this gen, and unfortunately for them, that is not going to be the pop just yet, as Pain Resonance does end up coming through, removing so much progress from that generator. Good lord, that could have been exactly what Cynic needed to try and win against Elysium. But more time is going to be added to the clock. They do still have the chance to try and win, but as that is being said, Xeno's going to be moving over towards Gallows to try and interrupt
what Ultra had in mind. Dropping in front of him, of course, using the chain to his advantage. Now going to be breaking every chain, grabbing that stun on top of Zeno. Zeno is actually going to be forced to not break the pallet just yet, as instead we're going to be moving in closer towards another filler pallet. 3 chains applied. Could this be a quick tag? Seems like no, not just yet, but it could be a 50-50 when it ends up vaulting. It's still going to be a tag, going to be moving over towards the wagon once more. Now, save probably going to be coming through onto Angels unless Ninny's going to be on top of the gen. That's going to be the save. Angels in a super tough spot there. Ends up vaulting that. Pre-vaulting. So many chains coming through as 6 chains do end up spawning on top of Ultra as he breaks all 3 chains simultaneously. And unfortunately for Ultra, that is not a situation that is easy to get out of whatsoever. So that is going to be another down and the last fresh hook of the game being hooked. Good Lord.
Quite the match we have going on here tonight, with Ultra's first hook and the other 2 being injured during a chain hunt. Things are not looking too horribly good for them, I have to say, but never say never. With, let's see, looks like they are both wanting to get this unhook. Angel's getting the box, and well, okay, it doesn't look like Zeno cares about the box too much. Never mind.
No, it doesn't.
Or, okay, yeah. Ultra getting unhooked by Ninny here. Going for the M2 on Ninny immediately. Angels is trying to body block, but I'm not sure it's going to get much done. Sorry, that's not Angels, that's Ultra.
That's Ultra, yeah.
Getting the M2 onto Ninny, and that is Ninny down, potentially for good.
I just realized we have not seen much value from Zeno's build here, as rapid brutality and force rotation is incredibly strong. I mean, think about it. People are slowed down, you become faster. I mean, that's just a huge amount of potential for the killer to quickly grab 2 downs in 1. But Cynic did end up just losing all of their chances here. I mean, right now they're looking at a situation where they need to crank out 1 more gen if they're going to want to have it. Now keeping this generator dry, which is going to be helpful, no lie. But what did I just say? Dude, I just rhymed. But
That you did.
Ultra being the last painter as Angels is going to be committed to and instantly bounds. Unfortunate for his Cynic indeed, as now Ultra is going to be the last person standing. And with that being said, I feel like he is just bound, yeah. Man. That was such an intense match. That could have been huge. But unfortunately, this is going to be the last chase we'll be seeing here. Ultra, now, our final chase, as he's going to be moving over towards the front of main. He doesn't end up making it safely, but he is going to have to play this 50-50. He ends up getting the stun off of that directly as Zeno tries to swing through to grab that ping hit. Still going to be making his way over towards the window, trying to break as many chains as possible. Slow ball coming through, but the down is not going to have any interruptions, as the slow ball was just enough for Zeno to swing at the window and hit it no matter what. We can only assume how truly horrifying that hit was on Ultra screen, but that is going to be the 4K2, meaning that Elysium has 2-0'd Cynic. Good Lord. Man, Jojo, that was such an intense match. I'm honestly sad that we cannot see our Artist tiebreaker, but that is it for, what the, oh my God. Zeno is so powerful, he just like teleported to the survivor. What the hell?
It was a very exciting match, I do have to give them that. Zeno definitely played out of their mind to beat the other win condition, and they certainly did so. Just really on top of it with the gateways and the original pain on people with endurance.
Yeah.
That's the nasty thing about that add-on, is how you can tunnel people with it.
Well, that was a very, very good fight produced there by Cynic. They did give us a very, very good show. I mean, they played very well. There were some questionable plays, but to be fair, there were questionable plays on both sides. So Cynic did play their best, but Elysium, of course, being known as the better team out of the two, will take it up on top. Cynic, the underdogs, will unfortunately not be showing their incredible performance here just yet, as potentially they're going to have more games in the future to show us that they are still a team that deserves to be in DBDL. And they definitely do, no matter what anyone says. But Elysium, of course, takes the win here today with 2-0.